Ahmed Abdel Fattah, originally from Egypt, is a car salesman in Sunnyvale. In 2005, he bought his first home, taking out a second mortgage to cover the down payment.
My first mortgage was $540,000, and this paper is for the second mortgage, which is $135,000.
2 years later, the economy faltered and Abdel Fattah was laid off. He could no longer make his house payments, and like 800,000 other Californians, the bank foreclosed on his house. This should have been the end of the story. Once a house has been sold in foreclosure, California law protects homeowners from being pursued for any other debts on the same property. But Abdel Fattah started to get letters from a company he'd never heard of before.
And they say, you owe us this money. I say, that must be a joke because the houses went for foreclosure.
The company was demanding he pay back the second mortgage.
When I didn't respond to them, they start calling me. And they keep calling me, and they say, so you have to pay us that. And they got my wife's cell phone. They start calling everybody. And they call my neighbor.
Abdel Fattah was being pursued by a company in Plano, Texas, called Heritage Pacific Financial. The company is run by Chris and Ben Ganter, identical twin brothers who starred in their own reality TV show about making money in the real estate boom.
This business relies on our investors being informed and comfortable about the direction of our decision making.
As the market collapsed, they started Heritage Pacific Financial. The company says California law permits them to collect on second mortgages where they can prove borrowers committed fraud.
I know you've lost money in your IRA.
In this marketing video, CEO Chris Ganter solicits investors.
Don't listen to your broker. Don't double down on a stock. Don't do that. It's not going to get there very quickly. You need to look for alternative ways to make money. Where there's panic, there's profit.
Heritage Pacific bought 40,000 second mortgage notes on foreclosed homes in California, looking for borrowers to sue for fraud.
I thought, well, that's illegal.
Will Kennedy is a consumer law attorney in Santa Clara.
They had sued hundreds and hundreds of people with identical lawsuits.
The lawsuits accuse everyone of lying about their employment, income, and residence. The company sent out letters like this one, offering to go away if borrowers would pay them a portion of the original loan.
What they're banking on is that most consumers don't know their rights and don't have the financial ability to hire an attorney to pressure them to pay. And many people, unfortunately, do pay.
The Ganters would not talk on camera citing pending litigation, but told California Watch they are helping to prevent mortgage fraud by pursuing people who deceived banks into loaning them money for houses they couldn't afford.
Well, in 2006, it was a crazy time. Banks were loaning money to anybody with a heartbeat.
Fred Schwinn is an attorney fighting a Heritage Pacific case. He says borrowers often had little to do with the mortgage applications. Brokers usually prepared them, and many new banks were not verifying the information.
Some of the loans that Heritage has do have fraud in them, but I believe many of the loans, the fraud was not the borrower's fraud, was instead the broker's fraud. And Heritage is, in a sense, re-victimizing the same victims of the mortgage crisis.
Abdel Fattah says in his case, there wasn't any fraud at all.
I couldn't sleep at night. Being accused was fraud.
He fought back, sending his tax return, affidavits of his employment, and household bills to show that he lived in the home. It took 4 years, but in the end, the case against him was dismissed.
I believe they're just profiteering on people's misery. I think that's their fundamental business model, and they get away with it because most people don't have the means to protect themselves.
Thousands of second mortgages still sit in the Ganters' warehouse, representing millions of dollars of potential claims against Californians who've already lost their homes.